Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, the wedding ceremony is, and the wedding night of course, is a time when everyone wants to look their best. They want to look good. The girl wants to look beautiful. The girls who are attending, they want to look good. And the man, the husband, he wants to look handsome. And so do the people in attendance. Of course, there's no free mixing. There's a segregation. We shouldn't use the word segregation. The word segregation has a negative connotation. Rather, we should say separation. That's better. I like that. Because segregation, like when you think about the apartheid that happened in South Africa, that word segregation, it just has a very negative connotation. So it's better that we say separation. There has to be separation at the ceremony. So you can't have sisters looking beautiful and brothers looking handsome and you place them in the same room. It doesn't work like that. So look, sisters want to look beautiful for their wedding night, brothers want to look handsome. Okay, the bride wants to look beautiful, the groom wants to look handsome. Our religion didn't leave out anything. Even beautification, it told us what we can do, what we can't do. And there's wisdoms behind everything. There is wisdoms behind everything, my brothers and sisters. The Sahabi of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Abu Musa Salman al-Farisi radiyallahu anhu, was asked, did the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam even teach you how to use the toilet? He said, not only did he teach us how to use the toilet, but he taught us how many items we should clean ourselves with. Stones, right? Which nowadays we would use toilet paper. He taught us which direction we are not allowed to face when we use the toilet and which direction we can face. Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu, or was it Abu Dhal al-Ghifari radiyallahu anhu, said that there is not a single bird that flapped its wings in the sky except the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us something about it. So this religion taught us how to use the toilet. It taught us how to get married. It taught us how to even beautify ourselves. And wallahi, if you follow this process, my brothers and sisters, okay, you follow how the Prophet taught us how to use the toilet. You follow how the Prophet taught us how to be married, how to beautify. Everything will fall into place. You'll be hygienic when you go to the toilet. You'll actually look good. You won't look fake. You won't start to cause the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change. Yeah? You won't cause the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start to change if you don't go above and beyond limits when it comes to beautification, right? Because people will go to a limit where they change it. And there's problems. Do you see what I'm saying? So the religion set these parameters. How many times do sisters come and they beautify themselves before a man? He decides to marry her only to realize she in real life looks nothing like how she made herself come across. To the point where it can actually genuinely be said the man was deceived. Because she was showing a deceptive version of herself. It wasn't her. And he decided and agreed to marry that. Okay? And if brothers do the same, because brothers nowadays wear makeup too, man, ajib, a'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. Men are wearing makeup and doing all sorts of bad things. It creates problems. So the Sharia doesn't say anything, there's nothing wrong with beautifying yourself. But it made certain things haram and it made majority of things permissible. But these things that it made haram for a reason so as to not create a greater harm. So if you follow, the point I'm trying to make is, if you follow the Sharia and everything it commanded you, in terms of beautification, you will enjoy your beauty and your husband and your wife will enjoy each other's looks. And it will be to a level where it will not be deceptive and it won't go above and beyond the limits and it won't be fake and it will actually be real appreciation for one another. Okay? Number one. Number two, you follow the Prophet when it comes to his etiquettes for intimacy, which I'm going to share with you. You have intimacy nicely amongst yourselves. The etiquettes for when it comes to the wedding celebration, look, there'll be love and harmony in the community. Like everything has a purpose and a wisdom behind it. Do you see? So don't neglect the prophetic traditions. So before we talk about the things that are haram when it comes to beautifying yourself and makeup and fashion and whatnot, right? Let us talk about that which is permissible when it comes to beautification. That which is permissible when it comes to beautification. First, then we will talk about that which is impermissible when it comes to beautification. Brothers and sisters, the default position of any method of beautification is that it's halal. How's that? That's nice, right, sisters? The default position of any thing that you want to use to beautify yourself, whether you want to do a certain hairstyle, whether you want to put certain type of makeup on, whether you want to do this, do that, any method of beautification or makeup or any method of looking good, any makeup style, the default position is that it is halal, okay? Until an evidence comes to show you that this is specifically haram. So you've got this ocean of methods of beautifying yourself, oceans of different hairstyles, oceans of different, things you can wear, oceans of different makeup that you can do, and different things that you can do, and creams you can use, and you've got an ocean of all that stuff. From it, the only ones you cannot use is specifically the ones for which another evidence comes and says, this particular one right here is haram, we're going to just take this out. And this also method is haram, we're going to take this out as well. And this method is haram, we're going to take this out as well. Apart from that, all of it is open for you. That's nice, right? That's a bit like, okay, I get to relax, okay? The evidence for this is the ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, say, who is the one who is going to make haram the beautification, the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made out for His slaves? So this beautification is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He gave us. He gave us this means to be able to beautify ourselves, to look good. Allah said, who? Man harrama zinat Allah. Who is the one that's going to make the beautification that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has facilitated for us? Who's going to make that haram? No one has, in other words, no one has the right to make it haram. Only Allah has the right to make it haram. And Allah will either make it haram in the Quran, or He will make it haram on the tongue of His Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam. Does that make sense? Good. So the reason I wanted to start with that is because, the things that are halal and permissible are too much to mention. And I'll never be able to exhaust all those methods. And to be honest, I don't even know all of them. This is a subject and a field and a science that is studied by sisters in and within itself. So I don't even want to act like I know what I'm talking about, you see. So I'm going to just start off by just making it very easy and saying the default position is everything is halal. Until an external evidence comes to show, no, this right here, this is haram. And that makes your life very easy. So I'm going to try and give you a list of things that are haram that you cannot do. And generally speaking, that which is outside of this, inshallah ta'ala, nothing wrong, unless of course you find another hadith that I might have missed out, because I'm in no way, shape or form have I encompassed all of knowledge. Okay, I have not encompassed all of knowledge. I might have left a hadith out, I might have left a thing out. If so, if you find it yourself, then implement it, inshallah ta'ala. Don't act like this list I'm giving you is conclusive. But inshallah ta'ala, I tried to put together that which I thought was best from you. And I took it from Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah's book, Adab al-Zafaf, okay? I just want to also mention, I'm at this time not going to talk about the hijab, the burqa, the jilbab, the way that a woman should cover, because this is for the woman on her wedding night. And there's not going to be any haram men that might be looking at her, or she's going to be doing it, she's going to be in the comfort of sisters, women, righteous women, righteous companions, who, you don't have to wear hijab in front of them. So otherwise, I would have mentioned, that you can't show your beauty outside. But that's a discussion for another day, and I don't need to go into that. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm basically, saying, oh, you can go out like this. No, this is in the context of there not being any strange men who are not, who are going to be looking at you. Do you see where I'm coming from? This is in the context of a private setting, either with you and your husband on your wedding night, when you're alone, or you're in the company of the women, inshallah ta'ala. In that situation, that beautification is permissible unless an external evidence comes to show that it's haram. So what is the first thing that is haram? The first thing that is haram is plucking your eyebrows. Plucking your eyebrows. And the hadith is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, the son of Umar ibn Khattab. He said, لعن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he cursed. Who did the Prophet curse? Al-wasilah wal-mustawsilah. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam cursed the woman who does the hair extension. So the hairstylist. She artificially lengthens the hair. And the woman who has her hair artificially lengthened. And this is an issue because, I don't know why, in our culture, especially I know in Pakistani culture, the women, they love to get their hair extensions and whatnot at the wedding. And it's weird because they're wearing what you call a dupatta. A dupatta is like, they wear a scarf, can it be called a scarf? Like a cloth over their head anyway, so no one really ever sees their hair anyway. So like, what's the point of getting the hair extensions? And like, wallahi man, there's like 1,000,001 hairstyles you can have, you know, Allahumma barik. There's no need for you to extend it. And like I said again, just for having your hair extended for one day, are you really gonna risk, you know, the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which basically means to be disconnected from Allah's mercy and potentially not making it to Jannah? Over why? Hair extensions. The other thing, inshallah ta'ala, is the issue of fake nails. Okay? Women get like these fake nails, or sometimes, you know, they grow their nails and they get these nails. Sometimes the nails are like claws. Again, this something is that Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he argued is impermissible. And the evidence he brought for this is very interesting. There's a hadith in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned 5 things. Yeah? And he said these 5 things are from a natural disposition of a human being. Okay? And that is, number 1, that the person, he gets circumcised. There's circumcision. Okay? The second thing is to remove one's hair from the pubic regions. Okay? To remove one's hairs from the private parts. The third one is to trim the moustache. Having the moustache long is not something that's normal. It's not something from the fitrah of the person. It's not something from the innate disposition. So it should be removed. Okay? The fourth thing was cutting the nails. And the fifth thing was to remove, and actually the best way to remove it is to pluck, but to remove the hair from the armpits. So there's 5 things here. Number 1, circumcision. Okay? This is you keeping yourself pure, keeping yourself clean, away from germs and infections and diseases. So circumcision, number 1. Okay? By the way, we're not talking about female genital mutilation here. That's something that's clearly haram, not from Islam. It's not even a problem in Islamic cultures. It's a problem in some African cultures, and there's some Muslim countries in Africa that happen to have adopted this from the wider African kind of culture because they happen to be in Africa. To say it even came from an Islamic country's culture is incorrect. Not only did it not come from Islam, it didn't even come from Muslim people's culture. It came from African culture, and some Muslim countries in Africa happen to adopt it. So we're not talking about female genital mutilation. Okay? So circumcision, as we know it, removing hair from the private parts, removing hair from the armpits, trimming the moustache, not letting it grow like crazy. Yeah? And number 5, cutting the nails. Cut your nails. So this is something we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to let it grow. You're not supposed to let your private part hairs grow, your armpit hairs grow. You're not supposed to, not get circumcised. You're not supposed to grow your moustache. You're not supposed to grow your nails. So it goes against this. You put in these long, claws and whatever else it is on your fingertips. So again, sisters, stay away from this, okay? Now, it's sad because nowadays you got some guys. I don't know if guys do hair extensions. They probably do, because that's the way the world's heading nowadays, astaghfirullah. I really hope that guys haven't started to get fake nails, because if so, that's a problem. But the guys, they get their eyebrows plucked. So this is not just for the sisters, this also applies to the brothers, okay? The brothers, it also applies to them. I'm going to mention to you now, inshallah ta'ala, something on the issue of shaving the beard. And this is going to be specific to the brothers now, to the groom, okay? I'm going to talk to the brothers, to the groom right now. Because one of the things that the groom will do on the day of his wedding is that he will probably go for a shape up and probably trim his beard, shave his beard, and play with his beard, yeah? No problem. You can get a nice shape up, you get a haircut, look good, no problem. Okay, as long as you don't imitate the women and you don't imitate the kuffar in your hairstyle. But shaving the beard, this is a huge problem. And it's a huge epidemic, okay? And this is something that we are not allowed to do. I'm going to mention to you 3 evidences, inshallah ta'ala. The first evidence I'm going to mention to you is the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam commanded, he said, inkahu shawarib. He said, cut the moustache. That was the first command. The second command was, wa'ful liha. Let the beard grow. Leave the beard. Leave the beard. Don't touch it. Just, wa'ful liha. Wa'ful liha. Leave the beard. Don't touch it. Let it just grow naturally. So now for you to trim it, goes against this hadith. It's a clear-cut command. Al-amru taqtadi al-wujub. the command, it shows obligation. It shows obligation. If you don't come with an obligation, that's a sin. You're disobeying Allah. So you have to not only trim the moustache, but you leave the beard, you don't touch it. Okay? You do not trim the beard. The second evidence why you're not allowed to shave the beard or trim the beard, the Prophet ﷺ said, جُزُّ الشَّوَارِبِ وَأَرْخُ اللِّحَى خَالِفُ الْمَجُوسِ. The Prophet ﷺ commanded, he said, trim the moustache again and grow the beard. Why? خَالِفُ الْمَجُوسِ, in order to oppose the fire worshippers, the Zoroastrians, the Majus, to oppose them. They were people who used to come and they used to shave the moustache, the beard, they used to grow the moustache. And we were commanded to not imitate the kuffar. We were commanded to actually be the opposite to them. Whenever the kuffar do something, we do something else. To the point, pay attention, brothers and sisters, to show you how much of a serious issue this is in our religion. Is praying something good? Yes. But there are times when you're not allowed to pray. Why? Because that's the time that the devil worshippers pray, which is the time when the sun is rising. You know at Fajr time when the sun is rising, before it actually rises into the sky, that time where it's from the horizon, it's rising, until it gets to the sky, you're not allowed to pray. Look at that, how amazing is prayer, how virtuous prayer, how lovely is prayer. Yet prayer became haram for you and I. Why? Because at that time the Satan worshippers are worshipping. So worship in a particular way became haram because at that time the kuffar are worshipping their satanic gods. Okay? So this is a very big thing in our religion. So if our worship becomes haram at a particular time, a particular worship becomes haram. Not all worships are haram at that time, but the salah is. If a particular type of worship becomes haram at that time, and it's the salah which is the greatest act of worship. Why? Because we're not allowed to copy the kuffar or to resemble them. Then what about a means of beautification? Is that more important than the salah? No. So if the salah being the most important act of worship after the shahadatain, after the shahada, is becoming haram at a particular time because we're going to imitate the kuffar, then of course beautification is nowhere near, it's not even an act of worship. It's not even anywhere close to being one of the important things from the religion. So of course we're not going to be allowed to copy the kuffar with regards to this. So my brothers, you have to leave the beard and don't shave it and trim it and shape it and do all of these things. And the final hadith that I want to mention to you, my brothers and sisters, is the hadith narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari, Sunan al-Tirmidhi as well. The hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لَعَنَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم الْمُتَشَبِّهِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ بِالنِّسَاءِ وَالْمُتَشَبِّهَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ بِالرِّجَالِ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam cursed the men who imitate the women, and he cursed the women who imitate the men. So when you got sisters who walk around with trousers, that's haram for many reasons. The fact that their body parts are being exposed and whatnot, but they're actually imitating men because men wear trousers. And now you've got men imitating women by plucking their eyebrows. You've got men imitating women in so many ways, but the one that I want to focus on right now is you've got men imitating women by shaving their beards. Because Allah created the women without facial hair, without a beard. And Allah created the men with the beard. Why? Because this is a unique characteristic for a man. And this is and not having a beard is a unique characteristic for a woman. So by you shaving your beard, you're actually imitating the women. And look, la'an, the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon such a person. Being distanced from Allah's mercy. Wallahi, sometimes I see a guy walking the street and he looks so like he's got no beard. I don't know, should I lower my gaze or not? I'm confused. Is he a girl or a boy? Like this guy, he's shaved. I'm thinking, if I put a hijab on his face, he'll look like a sister. It's that deep. So, of course, a brother who naturally doesn't grow much facial hair or whatever, no problem. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I'm saying sometimes, if you put a hijab on this brother, you have to lower your gaze because you think, is he a sister? Sometimes I'm struggling. I'm like, sometimes a guy will come in and want to shake my hand. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Because nowadays, even girls, they make their hair short. And the worst one is when a guy, he's got long hair. He's got a cute looking face. When I say cute, I mean like a baby face, like a girly face. I don't mean as in I find him cute, but I mean like like he's got that that he's got a girly face, yeah, and he's clean shaven. You think to yourself, whoa, and he's trying to shake your hand. I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to touch your hand now, because I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I genuinely don't know, right? So this is resemblance to the women, and it's not something that is permitted. Brothers and sisters, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah, and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, they both held the view that actually shaving the beard and the removal of the beard is what? It's like amputating a body part. It's actually a part of your body for the man. This is actually it's like a limb. It takes the ruling of a limb, Ibn Taymiyyah is saying. That for you to cut your beard is the same way as if you were to cut your wrist off. Or to cut your leg off, to amputate a body part, to cut off a body part. It's a part of your body. It's that connected to you. You're not allowed to cut it off. If you do, it's like you're cutting off your arm or your wrist. That's what Umar ibn Abdul Aziz said, rahimahullah, and Shaykh al-Albani. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. And also Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah, said when he brought all of these evidences in his book, he mentioned all of these evidences are enough, okay, to show a person it is haram to cut your beard. It is haram and it's obligatory to do it. He said one of these evidences should be enough. One of them is enough. But imagine all of these evidences are now being brought together. Do you see where I'm coming from? And wallahi, I'm going to tell you something, brothers, something personal. I personally struggled with the beard a lot. I struggled with it. It was very hard for me to grow it. I used to grow it and I used to trim it, even when I started practicing. Sadly, some of you have probably seen videos of me online when my beard wasn't grown. May Allah forgive me. But when I decided, when I looked at these evidences and I saw how, because I always used to try and justify it, maybe there's a difference of opinion, wallahu alam. But when I saw these evidences, because remember, we're not supposed to follow random opinions. This sheikh said, no. The greatest sheikh, the greatest scholar is the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. A sheikh might make a mistake because he misinterprets the evidence. Your job and my job is to not follow the sheikh, but to follow the evidence the sheikh brings. This is the evidence Shaykh al-Albani brought. Ibn Taymiyyah holds this view. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who is the grandson of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, and others, many other ulama. In fact, there is a unanimous consensus amongst scholars of Ahlul Sunnah that shaving the beard you cannot do. Shaving the beard you cannot do. And also, the strongest opinion based on this evidence is that you can't even trim it, you've got to just let it grow. So when I saw this and I realized, subhanAllah, there is actually no way out on this issue, I decided to give in. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just placed the love for the beard in my heart. It just came. And this is something that's true in everything that you find difficult. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants you to just say, I hear and I obey. At the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed an ayah that was difficult for the Sahaba to implement. It was very difficult. And they were saying, Ya Rasulullah, we can do everything, but this we can't do. We're not going to be able to do this. Allah sent down an ayah saying, don't contest. In other words, what Allah really said was, the meaning of the ayah was don't contest. What Allah said was, say, sami'na wa ata'na. I hear and I obey. Don't say, sami'na wa asayna, as the kuffar did. They used to say, we hear and we disobey. Allah said, the believers, whenever they hear an ayah, or a hadith, or an evidence, or an obligation, or a command, or a prohibition, which is haram, anytime you hear that, don't say, I can't, don't say, it's hard, don't say, I'll do it later. No, just say, I hear and I obey. Just say, I obey, just say it. Because when you do, what will happen? Straight away, Allah will bring ease and He will make it easy for you to do it. He will make it easy for you to do it. Because straight away when the Sahaba said that, Allah sent down the ayah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah will not burden a soul more than it can bear. This is what they call the ayah of takhfif, the ayah of ease. Straight away Allah sent it down. Allah will not burden you. Okay, Allah sent to the Sahaba, you can't do this, yeah? Okay, I'm not going to burden you with it. I'm not going to burden you with more than what you can bear. And that's a principle. But when does this feeling of difficulty get removed for you and the feeling of ease and acceptance come? It's when you say, I hear and I obey. That's when it enters into your heart. That's for my sisters who are struggling with hijab and jilbab, those who are struggling with eyebrows, whatever else. The moment you say, I hear and I obey, Allah will make it easy for you. Say with certainty, I hear and I obey, no matter how hard it is for me. Give it time, I promise you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place ease in your heart. It will make it easy for you to accept it, inshallah ta'ala. But all day you're fighting with the legislation. You're headbutting it. You're hearing the ayah hadith. No, I'm not going to do it. Too hard for me. Can't do it. Not for me. Maybe later, when I grow up. All day you're headbutting it. But Allah wants you to trust Him. Agree. Say, sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. Allah will place takhfif in your heart. He will place ease in your heart. And next thing you know, wallahi, I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I love my beard. And I struggled with it. I swear by Allah, I struggled with it. And I don't think I could have ever imagined myself with a beard like this. But when I said, nah, I'm going to do it. Nah, I'm going to do it. I love it. Alhamdulillah, look at this beard. Alhamdulillah. There's no trippings or clipping. There's no clippings or trimmings or anything. This is a natural beard. Sometimes I have a bad beard day. You know, you guys have bad hair days. I have a bad beard day sometimes. I wake up and I'm tired and it's all over the place. Even right now, it's not fully combed, right? But the point is, when I comb it, it looks, wallah, I love the beard. The beard. I look fresh. And I find, contentment in the fact that I look like a man. And I find contentment in the fact that what? I look like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I look like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I also find contentment in the fact that I look strange. Because the Prophet said, Tawbah, glad tidings. To who? Lil ghuraba. Tawbah lil ghuraba. Glad tidings for the ghuraba, the strange ones. Bada Islam ghariban. Islam started as something strange. And it will return back, kama bada'a. It will return back to being strange the way it started strange. We're strangers in this day and age. The same way the Prophet was a stranger in Mecca, we are strangers here in London or wherever else we are. Sisters are wearing niqab, jilbab, not shit placking their eyebrows. We look strange. Even though your eyebrows look fine, trust me. We look strange, not wearing makeup, everyone's wearing, we look strange. Tawbah lil ghuraba, glad tidings. You know what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said? That, okay, these people, they look strange to the rest of the human beings. But in reality, the ones who are strange are the ones who are not following the sunnah. You, O stranger in this world, to Allah are not strange. You, O stranger to Allah you're very loved. And everyone else who's looking at you as a stranger, rather that person is a stranger to Allah and that person's far from Allah. And amongst the believers, who are the most strangest? Ibn al-Qayyim said, the ones who follow the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Qasdan, with regards to their intent, i'tiqadan, with regards to their aqidah, their belief, aqwalan, with regards to their statement, wa a'malan, with regards to their actions. Internally, externally, on my tongue, sunnah. We're the strangest. Inshallah we're going to be from them. But we are the ones that inshallah ta'ala, if Allah gives us this blessing of accepting it from us and allow us to be from this stage of people, this rank of people, we are the ones who are the most beloved to Allah. Inshallah ta'ala, the final thing that is not allowed that people do in terms of beautification is the wedding ring. And I've already mentioned that to you at the beginning of the Buy Big Fat Muslim Wedding Program, so I'm not going to mention it here. And I brought it back because even though it's for the wedding ceremony and the wedding day, people start to buy it and discuss it right at the beginning. So I mentioned it at the beginning for that reason, so you can go back to that lesson and revise it, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, hopefully, Shaykh Abdurrahman Hassan, Abdurrahman, our teacher, is actually going to do a detailed course on the issue of beautification in our religion. What you can do, what you can't do. Hopefully that will be coming up very soon, inshallah ta'ala. Now, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start talking about the wedding night. on the My Big Fat Muslim wedding course, inshallah ta'ala. We've done all of the wedding ceremony stuff. We're going to start talking about the wedding night itself, the intimacy, the manners and advices, inshallah ta'ala. If anyone is watching this on YouTube, because I may put this video out on YouTube, then you can go to the link below. You can sign up to Muslim Survival Guide, and you can, inshallah ta'ala, have access to what? You can have access to all of our courses, and particularly this wedding one, if you want to know a bit more about the whole marriage side of things. With that said, I have to love you and leave you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.